Today we're looking at Seabourn, Viking Ocean, and the new kid in the block, Explora Journeys. If you're a fan of small ships, outstanding service, and immersive itineraries, you're going to love this conversation. Welcome to RTE-Travel Talk, Ask a Real Travel Expert, the show that talks to travel professionals around the world. Today we're joined by travel expert Laurie Bixler of Cruise and Travel Specialist to talk about three of her absolute favorite luxury cruise lines. If you enjoy the journey with us today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if this video's got you inspired, give it a like or drop a comment and join the conversation. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for being part of our travel community, whether you're a longtime fan or just dropping by. We really appreciate it. And now, on with the show. Hi, Laurie. Welcome to RTE Travel Talk.
Thanks, Ken, for having me. I am so excited. I can't believe that you have invited me to be an expert on your show. So I am thrilled. I've looked forward to meeting you for a long time.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you, Laurie, because you've sailed on perhaps three of my favorite small ship luxury cruise lines, and that's Seabourn, Viking Ocean, and Explora Journeys. So I was hoping today that you and I can spend a little time catching up about each one and doing a bit of a comparison. How does that sound, Laurie?
My pleasure. These are ships that I absolutely love, and I love to talk about them.
Sounds perfect. So why don't you give us a quick elevator pitch for each particular line to describe the, their vibe, the style, that sort of thing.
They're all luxury ships, in my opinion,
Right.
and they are all ships that anybody could love. Seabourn is the premier founder of the ultra luxury brand, and they still lead the pack in ultra luxury, mainly because they are small ships. Smaller than the two that we're going to compare against, both Viking and Explora. Viking and Explora are 930 and 990. So the ultra luxury category really has to do with size.
Okay. So how many passengers would be on Seabourn?
Seabourn is smaller, so their passenger count right now is about 450 on the small ships, up to 600 on the larger ships.
Okay. So that's quite a difference from between Viking and Explora Journeys.
I think it is a difference. I think that is what changes the nuance of the ships when we get into the comparisons.
And how does Viking Ocean stack up as a quick overview?
I think we all know, because we all see the Viking commercials, that that Viking Ocean is the thinking person ship.
Yeah.
Viking Oceans, they sometimes can be defined by what they are not as much as what they are.
Okay. What do you mean by that now?
Well, Viking Ocean prides itself on not having certain things, not having a casino, not having big flashy entertainment, not being too busy. They really want to provide a very sedate thinking person's atmosphere, which is focused on the destinations.
And I'd have to think, Laurie, that part of that, what Viking doesn't have on their ships, is children.
And that is something that really draws people to Viking, the fact that they only allow 18 years and older.
Yeah.
But the truth is, Ken, you're not going to find many children on Seabourn either. And if you do have some children during the school holidays, they're generally very well behaved because there's not much for them to do. So although they don't advertise it and although they don't ban younger people, we're not going to find lots of kids running around the ship.
That's exactly right. I agree with you. Across all three of these lines, you're not on any given day going to find a ton of kids because, quite frankly, the design of these ships, the kids would be bored to tears.
I do want to mention that Explora has a Nautilus Club for children.
Okay.
Just as an aside. So, and Explora does attract a younger crowd than Viking does. So on Explora, although we don't have those big slides, the water slides, and we don't have any characters running around, I still think that Explora will have some families on it. I do. And especially as they grow.
That's great. That's great. And it's a great way for families that have the affordability to share an experience, and the educational value of it is wonderful. So let's talk about the suite life when it comes to these three cruise lines. Laurie, how do they compare in terms of staterooms and space?
I think this is one of the nuances where they're different.
Okay.
First of all, Viking is all veranda. Every one of their rooms has a veranda, whether it's a room or a suite.
Okay.
The same thing for Explora. They're ultra luxury, but Explora is not only all veranda, and by the way, they call them terraces. They have their own lingo.
Yeah.
Not only are they all terraces, but they are all suite. Viking has rooms, and then they have suites, all with verandas. Explora has only suites, all with terraces. And then Seabourn is all suites, but some of their suites don't have verandas. Some of their entry level suites on the older ships on deck
Okay.
floor. 90% of their rooms are veranda, but not 100%.
So if I heard you correctly, basically across three lines, they're all suite ships.
Viking is not all suites.
Okay.
Viking
So,
has rooms. Only their top three categories are suites.
oh, okay.
And
So there's more
that's
options on
really
Viking.
the distinction is if it has a designated sitting area and the suites are larger. So by nature, that means the Viking is going to have their entry level being smaller rooms. Suites on Explorer just blow me away. I mean, they are absolutely not only the largest entry level suites on the ocean, but they're gorgeous. You walk in and you are stunned by the beauty of the rooms, the suites on Explorer.
Wow. Wow, that's high praise.
When comparing them, it's in the nuances. It's, what is a person looking for? If you're
Yeah.
looking for an absolutely glamorous entry level suite, then it's Explorer.
Interesting. So what really it comes down to a good solid conversation with your travel expert to know exactly what you're looking for in accommodations.
Well, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the point of
Yeah.
talking to a travel expert so that we can match the person to the cruise, which is what I try to do.
So one thing that comes up time and time again when I talk to our viewers and listeners, Laurie, is and it's obviously near and dear to my heart, is the dining and culinary experience on board. How do you find that across the three ships? Does any one of the three stand out, or are they all kind of the same? How does that work?
I think the dining experience is distinctly different on all
Okay.
three of these brands. The Explorer dining is out of this world. They have 5 restaurants plus the Emporium.
Right.
So on Explorer, there is no buffet. The Emporium is individual, freestanding stations where the food is prepared while you wait rather than a buffet. On Viking, their World Cafe is a buffet. On Seabourn, we have the main restaurant plus other choices to eat at, all of which are included, including my favorite. My favorite of all is Earth and Ocean on Seabourn, which is dining under the stars casually. And as long as we're speaking about food, I have to tell you, my great love, my indulgence is caviar. And we just can't get by this without talking about the fact that Seabourn gives you caviar any place, anytime, on demand. And it's just something that really makes you feel like you're in the ultra luxury category and very special.
So that's just one of those special little touches that you will always remember.
Especially when they give it to me in the ocean on a surfboard.
Yeah.
You think nobody ever saw caviar before or nobody ever saw food before? Because the whole ship turns out to chase down that caviar in the ocean.
Sounds like fun. It
It's
really
great
does.
fun. It's great fun. On Viking, they do have Manfredo's, which is the superior Italian restaurant.
Right.
And that requires reservations, although it's included. And they have other restaurants that are included as well.
Probably I would expect all three of these cruise lines in their specialty restaurants. Are all of them no fee, the specialty restaurants?
They are. But all three of these cruise lines are pretty much all inclusive. On Seabourn, they have a food and wine pairing. They don't call it a restaurant, but it's a lunch.
Right.
So it's sort of playing with words. So yeah, there's a fee on that if you choose it. On Viking, if you want to do the kitchen experience, shopping with the chef and then helping to cook your food, there's a fee on that.
Okay.
And on Explore, they have the Anthology, which is a simply fabulous wine and food multi-course pairing that costs extra. But other than that, all the restaurants are included. Matter of snagging your reservations.
Exactly. And that was actually where my point was. For people that are interested in these lines, you probably want to make your reservations prior to coming on board or absolutely as soon as you get on board, because these restaurant and dining experiences, they fill up.
They do fill up, and you're allowed to make, I think, 2 with Explorer ahead of time and then more on the ship. Seabourn, you don't need to make them ahead of time.
Okay.
But with Viking, to me, this is a negative. I
Hmm.
hate to call it a negative, but let's
Yep.
be honest, I'm here to share
Yep.
reality. Viking, your reservations are based on the category stateroom that you book and reserve. So if you're in a
Okay.
higher category, your choices are released first,
Okay.
and you can get your time slots and you can get your selections. That works great when you're in the high categories. And
Yeah.
when you get to the lower categories, there might not be too much choice left. And that can be
Yeah.
a real negative.
But with Viking, you can still pre-book them, right?
Yes, and you need to pre-book them as soon as your slot opens. I
Yeah.
would get right on within 10 minutes and make your bookings.
Right. No,
Absolutely.
exactly. Laura, I kind of agree with you. That's kind of running a class system on board the ship.
Well, they do. You said it better than me, and that
Yeah.
is one of the differentiation points
Yeah.
for Viking, that everybody is not treated equal.
So let's talk about service and atmosphere on board. Luxury just isn't about things, it's about how you're treated. What is the service like on board?
I think the service is superb from all three cruise lines. The differentiation point will be the number of crew to guests. Seabourn is nearly 1-to-1. Explora is nearly 1-to-1. Viking comes in last. They're 2-to-1. That means there's 2 guests for every crew member. In saying that all of the crew are fabulous,
Really, really, when you think of it, 1-to-1 is amazing. And
1-to-1 is amazing.
and even 2-to-1 is exceptional when you
Right.
compare it to some of the other lines. I've always said that the difference that you would see is that particular room attendant or that particular waiter may have a little less time to interact with you or help to create the special moments because they tend to be busier the higher the guest ratio thing
I
is.
agree with you.
No, exactly. So, in terms of destinations and itineraries, are they pretty much the same, or is there differences between the 3 lines?
Like I said in the introduction, Seabourn has smaller ships so they
Yep.
can get into smaller ports. So
Yep.
that influences it. They are great on world cruises and small itineraries and intense itineraries. Explora is a new brand. Explora just started in 2023. Viking started in 2015. So Viking has 15 ships already out there, 15 ocean ships. And I'm not even talking about the expedition ships. Explora, they launched their 3rd ship yesterday. And by 2027, they'll have 6 ships. When Explora began in 2023, they basically were doing Mediterranean and the
Yep.
Caribbean. Now their itineraries are expanding all over the world.
Right.
As they're releasing the ships, they're going further and further, and they're having world cruises, and they're having very interesting locations all over the world.
Yeah.
As far as Viking, they're already all over the world, and with their Norwegian heritage, gosh, they are just fabulous up there.
And again, with something like that, Laurie, it comes down to what you want out of your cruise. And
It really does.
and having a conversation with your travel expert to find the particular luxury cruise line which is going to suit you.
It really does. For example, Viking is intense in their ports, and that is a good match for somebody who is really intense in their
Yep.
ports.
I'm thinking Vikings intense in their ports. Explorer has such a fantastic onboard experience, so they're all different.
They're all different. Explora is more like stepping on board a luxury resort than
Yeah.
it is stepping aboard a cruise ship. They really reinvented the concept, and that will attract many people who may have not wanted to ever cruise before. Can I tell you why I love Seabourn?
Sure.
In my opinion, Seabourn has the greatest cruise directors at sea. These folks
Yeah.
are talented. They come from Broadway, they come from West End. They sing, they dance, they interact. They drive the personality of the ship. They have followings. People
Yeah.
write about the cruise directors. Just as Viking is trying to be the thinking man's cruise, Seabourn is more country club casual and fun.
Right.
Neither are right or wrong.
And in the terms of Seabourn, with Seabourn, there's a person on board being in that cruise director whose main job it is to ensure that you have a fabulous time.
Yes.
So, Laura, no matter what stage in life you're at and what income level, whether you're retired, still working, when it comes down to booking your vacation, you want to get the best bang for your dollar, your best value. How do these 3 particular cruise lines stack up in terms of value and pricing? I gather you've put together a bit of a comparison for us.
Well, I did, Ken, just in case
Mhm.
you asked. I thought that I should be prepared
Yeah.
with the comparison.
Okay.
So what I did was first found comparable itineraries,
Right.
and then I tried to choose comparable staterooms across all three brands so I
Yeah.
could give you and your listeners a comparison price.
Right.
Now, one other thing I had to do, Viking is not quite as all-inclusive as the other two brands.
Okay.
On Viking, the gratuities are not included, they're added in later.
Right.
And Viking also does not include alcohol all day long.
Okay.
On Explora and Seabourn, all alcohol is included all day long. On Viking, you get beer and wine at your meals only. So I had to add in the gratuities and a drink package to level out the Viking cruise. I also wanted to be sure that I wasn't comparing a room to a suite. And since Seabourn Quest has the suites and Explora has the suites, what I did was pulled a suite from Viking so
Okay.
that I was comparing equivalent types of rooms, equivalent types of sizes. So
Okay.
when that happened, Explora and Viking came out very equal within
Okay.
$200 of each other. And on a per person price, I would say that for an itinerary, 7-night itinerary in Greece from Athens to Venice came out to about $5,300 on Viking per person.
Okay.
And $5,240 on Explorer per person. So incredibly close,
So
actually.
yeah, really no difference.
No difference. So
Yeah.
it really comes down to the experience the
Exactly.
guest is looking for.
Yep.
And again, the size of the ships are about the same, 930 to 990. The
Yep.
size of these rooms are about the same, both with terraces or verandas. The Seabourn, I was using their smaller ship, the Quest, because that's the one that sails this particular itinerary. And they did come in higher at $6,700 for this particular itinerary.
Which only makes sense. They're smaller ships. They have to spread the cost over less people.
And they are the originator of the ultra luxury brand.
Yeah.
Does Viking fall into the ultra luxury category? I'll leave that for the listener to decide. But in my opinion, Viking is not as ultra luxury as Seabourn.
Yeah.
And Explora is ultra luxury, but different.
Just in a different way. Yeah, no,
In a
I get
different way.
that. I get that. We've heard that from travel experts that have been on both. It makes a lot of sense, really, when you think about it.
I mean, just that caviar cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, Laurie, one thing that we haven't talked a lot about, we talked about the accommodations on board and we talked about the dining. What about some of the exterior features on the ships? Like, do they have walking tracks, like various pools? How do they compare?
In this area, Explora is the clear leader of the pack, in my
Oh,
opinion.
really?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, first of all, they have 5 heated pools. One of them has that retractable roof. It's gorgeous. The conservatory, they call it. Lots of places to sit, cabanas that you don't have to rent, you can choose. Explora really has the whole exterior layout just slam dunk, beautifully done. They have the fitness track, they have a huge spa. They have pickleball court. Explora, being the new kid on the block, took this to perfection. Viking wasn't trying to do that, and that's okay. So Viking is not aiming for the physically active running crowd. Their tagline is the thinking person's cruise. They
Right.
want you to have lectures and embrace where you're at. It's not necessary for them to have a basketball court.
Yeah.
It's just not their personality.
Yeah.
They do have 2 pools and one with a retractable roof.
No, exactly.
And the Seabourn ship is older. They have 2 pools. Well, it's beautiful.
No, exactly.
It's country club casual. So what they are aiming at is to get people around that pool to have fun, to talk to each other, to go in the hot tub, and to create their own conversations.
So if someone is new to luxury cruising, where do you think you'd steer them first?
I wouldn't steer them to any one of them. I would completely depend on my conversation with the person. I know I'm being evasive in saying that.
Well, no,
But-
not really, because at the end of the day, in order to provide them with the best experience, you need the information from them, and then you can lay out the options after that.
I love all 3 of these
Yeah.
ships. I love all 3 for the
Yeah.
right person and to match them to the right ship.
So, when I think about it, you've got Seabourn, they're basically your classic luxury travels, couples
Right.
celebrating milestones, refined tastes. Viking Ocean, just as you said, they have a huge following, curious travelers, mature adults, folks that love history and want the experience. And again, as you said, Explora, they're too new, but they're heading for, I think, probably to attract the modern explorers that are looking for luxury.
Wow, you said it all much better than me.
So let's do some rapid fire questions. You ready?
I don't know, but I'll give it a whirl.
Best dining experience you've had on board?
Oh, Seabourn, Earth and Ocean. They have this camembert cheese that they melt, and it's just to die for. It's decadent. It's fattening. It's. I'm not a big person, so you can see that I choose my indulgences carefully.
Right on.
And this is one I dream about at night.
Favorite suite layout?
Explora. They have just created suites that are, when you walk in, it's the wow factor. It is it's breathtaking, and the walk-in closets are huge. So, yep, Explora.
How about the most unforgettable destination you visited with each one?
Viking Bergen, Norway. I love Bergen, Norway. If somebody dropped me off in Bergen, Norway, and never took me anyplace else in the world and left me there, I'd be perfectly happy. It is a wonderful, quaint city. You know, on Seabourn, I like transatlantics, which means don't make my feet touch ground.
How about the most incredible wow moment on board?
Walking into my room on Seabourn and looking at the bathtub, and it was filled with rose petals. It must have been my birthday.
Yeah.
Because I like to sail on my birthday. It's in December, pre-Christmas, very excellent time to sail. And I love to go to the Caribbean on a cruise before my birthday. So that was probably it.
Wow. Yeah. No. And again, Laurie, when you think about those wow moments, it really is about those special moments that they live on in your memory and make cruising and travel so worthwhile.
So worthwhile. You know, the only thing you can take to the end is are your memories.
No, exactly. Well, Laurie, this has been an absolute wonderful, helpful deep dive into these three spectacular luxury cruise lines, Seabourn, Viking Ocean, and Explora Journeys. For anyone that's watching who wants to possibly learn more or book a trip with you, what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is on the bottom of your screen, which is to call 503-641-5225, or to email info@cruiseholidays.com, and note the Z in there, info@cruiseholidays.com. And if I could mention just really quickly, I just want your viewers to know that I am in Charleston, South Carolina, but my agency is in Portland, Oregon. So in my agency, there are several of us who can help with these wonderful cruises, and any time zone all across the country. So you don't need to be East Coast or West Coast to call us. We are here for anybody all over the country.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I'll leave that contact information in the description for those folks that might like to reach out. But as always, Laurie, since I like to live vicariously through the travels of all the wonderful people I get to interview on this channel, I have to know where you're off to next. What's your next plans?
I just planned this September to go to the Galapagos Islands. And as long as I'm there, I am still trying to tack on an Amazon River cruise along with the Galapagos.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic.
So September for sure.
The Amazon River cruise is fascinating. We've spoken to a couple of people a long time ago, but I would love to revisit it again. How about you come back and we'll regale us with your adventures in the Galapagos and the Amazon? How's that sound?
I couldn't be more pleased. Thank you so much.
All right. And so with that, Laurie, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future adventures, cruises, and destinations. May the wind always be at your back. And I hope to see you on the Lido deck of an Explora Journey ship sometime in the future.
I can't wait to see you there. Bye, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Laurie Bixler of Cruise and Travel Specialist. If you'd like to reach Laurie, I will leave her contact information in the show notes. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com or drop a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, a like, share, and subscribe is certainly appreciated and helps other folks just like you to discover our channel. And if you're really enjoying the content and want to show a little extra love, we hope you'll think about becoming a channel member. It really helps us to keep on delivering that great travel advice, expert interviews, and reviews that you love. So until next time, folks, happy travels.